Yeah, that's something the Passport Bros failed to bring up. I believe the archetype for every cult in every movie or show is you sell your worldly possessions and join them in some commune or something. I don't know, that's what the cult that Homer joined in the one episode of The Simpsons had them do. I remember Reese sold his worldly possessions for something like that in Malcolm in the Middle. I forget the exact details because I haven't watched a single episode of that in over a decade now. I'm pretty sure Reese was joining a cult, but sometimes you can just sell your worldly possessions. It's like Zahir said in the Legend of Korra, let go of your earthly tethers, enter the void, become wind. That brings me to today's article from Business Insider. At 55, my husband and I sold everything to travel full time by Shelley Peterson. And I'm yep, that's her. Yeah, they sold nearly everything they owned when they were 55 to travel full time. I have no idea where they are in that picture, but it looks like they're traveling and they let go of their earthly tethers. I wouldn't say that they entered the void, but they became wind and that they could travel a lot more easily. Not like in the van life way where you're living in a van and you're constantly being woken up by police to move your vehicle or get a ticket. Honestly, they probably are like moving from hotel room to hotel room. But before we find out how exactly they're managing this and whether they have any sort of long-term residence for a mailing address, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and comment whether you've ever thought about doing what Shelly here did. Personally, I considered something like van life or getting out more because I was tired of being crammed in the house with parents and siblings, then just sibling, then just parents, then parents plus sibling again. Because I think I've mentioned before, I had to share a room with my brother until I was 21 because I never lived in a college dorm when I went to college. I had to wait until he moved out for college to have the room all to myself. And so to this day, I really value having space to myself that I can call my own or have as much authority over as possible, if not total authority. Anyway, getting into the article, and I promise I'm not going to do the old person voice. At 55, my husband Shane and I did something most people only dream about. We sold our home, our cars, and the business we had spent years building, and traded it all for a couple of suitcases and a one-way ticket to Bali. It wasn't a midlife crisis or a dramatic escape. This was the result of years of dreaming, planning, and figuring out what we truly wanted from the rest of our lives. But after a health scare and living through the pandemic, everything sped up. Suddenly, our someday turned into now or never. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's what I said in the video about don't wait till you retire to travel. You really don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe something like the pandemic will happen. Maybe when you get to retirement age, you won't be able to actually do what you want to do, whether it's because you're not in good shape anymore. Inflation has reached a point where whatever money you saved up became worthless. Now, some inflation is definitely going to happen, but the last 5 years, oh my God, it's. Let's not get into that right now. Letting go of everything was strangely liberating. The first step was selling the physical therapy practice Shane had built from the ground up. After having it on the market for a few months with little interest, we were thrilled to sell it to one of his longtime employees. This gave us peace of mind and made the transition simple and feel more meaningful. Yeah, it's not like selling it to a blind trust or to a larger corporation. Selling it to someone you know, like some of the senseis that ran Chuck Norris's karate schools back in the day. He actually sold those karate schools directly to them instead of finding other buyers. Go read his autobiography, Against All Odds. He goes on more about that. He really didn't want the Chuck Norris karate schools to be associated with bankruptcy because he didn't want his name associated with bankruptcy, even though he personally would not be bankrupted. Then came our house. It sold the first weekend it hit the market, and to our surprise, the buyers wanted to purchase most of our furniture too. After that, we donated, sold, or gave away nearly everything else. Both of our cars sold quickly, and some sentimental things went into storage. I never imagined that letting go of most of our possessions, and there's a separate article we can look at another time, would turn out to be one of the most freeing parts of this journey. We created space, not just in our closets, but in our lives. And there they are. I'm gonna guess this is in Bali. But yeah, that's the thing about materialism. At a certain point, it does become too much. My teacher for this class I did in college, uh, stress reduction, mindfulness, said sometimes that possessing a lot of things was detrimental because something about being more to lose. I forget. I had that class almost 8 years ago now. But yeah, if you have something expensive or that you're attached to, you've got more to lose. So, for example, this watch here, I am pretty attached to it because it tracks the workouts and such and lets me play music. But it's one extra thing worry about, to worry about losing. Take my Switch 2, for example. If I bring that with me, and this mostly applied back when I had the Switch 1 in a proper carrying case. Even with the AirTag, the fact is I felt the need to keep it with me at all times. Like that's the reason that I rarely lose anything is because I'm incredibly strict about where I keep it. So when I brought my previous MacBook to upstate New York in the I'd leave it in the hotel room. I had an AirTag in there. I think I had no, I didn't have AirTags for either of those. The first time I brought it, AirTags didn't exist. Second time, I hadn't acquired any yet. I didn't get my first AirTag till 2022. But yeah, I had to worry about that. Compared to when I went to upstate New York in 2024, I did not bring my MacBook. I did not bring my Nintendo Switch 1. It was simply my pocket stuff and some clothes, partially because it was not even for the whole day. We drove up there, we stayed overnight at the hotel, we went to my cousin's son's first birthday party, and then we went straight home from there. All right, getting back to the article. We built our life intentionally. We didn't win the lottery or stumble into early retirement. We are not rich. We simply got clear on what kind of life we wanted and then built a plan to support it. After selling our assets, we dramatically reduced our expenses and created a few modest income streams to help sustain long-term travel. We launched jetsetclub.co, a cheap flight alert service, and started blogging at jetsetpetersons.com. Yeah, they're probably that's the thing. You still have to bring in some kind of money. It doesn't have to be a lot, and if you can learn to live off of very little, you can make it go far and you can have the freedom to do that. You know, detaching yourself from materialism really is beneficial. The Buddha was completely on to something when he preached that. We set a monthly budget of $3,000. For the most part, we've been able to stick to it, even in places like Paris, Barcelona, and Mexico. One of our biggest strategies, we let the deal determine the destination. That means choosing locations not only based on airfare, but also on affordable lodging, local transportation, food costs, weather, and visa limits. Avoiding the high season and traveling during the shoulder season really keep costs down. And as a bonus, there are usually fewer crowds to contend with. As a rule, we only stay at places with a kitchen so we can cook most of our meals. This hack not only helps us save money, but also helps us eat healthier. Our lifestyle is simpler now, and we seek out low cost or free experiences like walking tours, free museum nights, farmers markets, and long afternoons on the beach. And here they are, probably one of those long afternoons on the beach. Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone says it's expensive just to leave the house and go out, and they aren't completely wrong. If I wanted to go to the Museum of Science today, it would cost me $49 for exhibit hall's ticket and then an discounted add-on ticket each for the 3D theater, the Mugar Omni Theater, and the planetarium. Now, I would really enjoy that, but I also can recognize I can't do that constantly. Going to see a movie, even on a bargain Tuesday, the small popcorn, a 20-ounce water bottle, actually $25 total. That's not bad. No, well over 25. It can vary. Okay, $7 plus 15 something now. The prices of the popcorn and the water bottle went up, unfortunately. But a $5 to $7 ticket, usually 7 because it's not playing in premium format. I don't bother. So 7. plus 15, that's about $22. Add on $17.79 for the sliders. It's roughly $40 for about 3 to 4 hours total because I always go before the movie and I eat, and then the movie itself with the previews and such. And usually it's about a 2.5 hour experience. It can all depend. But yeah, the point is, they're smart to find low cost or free activities to do. Even though personally, I really like the costly things can be more fun if you're getting the value out of it. Because again, at a certain point, as I've said before, at a certain point, you have to pay the price because it costs them money to operate. I'm no bargain hunter, but I do also try to be mindful of spending. Getting back to the article, full-time travel is not one long vacation. People sometimes imagine our life is just one big holiday, and it's far more grounded than that. There have been challenges, minor illnesses, language mix-ups, SIM card issues, missed flights, and moments of homesickness. But there have also been rice fields in Bali, night markets in Thailand, slow mornings in European cafes, and beach ride sunsets we still talk about months later. It's not perfect, but we've found the best memories come from the imperfect moments. I mean, that looks like a pretty perfect moment, picture perfect moment there. Yeah, that's something the passport bros fail to bring up. You might get homesick. You might have to deal with other issues. Like, my video, traveling is overrated, still gets traction because the fact is, traveling is a lot of hassle for maybe a brief moment of fun. Like, let's say that I went all the way down to Florida just to go to Epic Universe for one day. I would have to wake up, I would have to get on a 3 hour flight, I would have to get checked into a hotel room if I'm staying there. I would then go through the park and then I'd maybe get like several hours. That's honestly a lot of standing in line just to ride the rides, experience the experiences, and that's assuming my big fat ass will fit in the rides where they have size limits. Rightfully so, I'd like to add, because they have to use the average size so that they can maximize the number of people. And at a certain point, if you're too big and it doesn't fit, oh well, you can't ride it because we can't secure you. And if you're too small, well, you'll fly right out. All right, let's get back to the article. We left home, but we're still connected to family. The hardest part wasn't letting go of our house or belongings. It was saying goodbye to our close-knit family of 4 daughters and 9 grandchildren, all under the age of 7. Wow, 9 grandchildren at the age of 55? Yeah, that's another thing about traveling, like long-term traveling like that, the passport bros fail to mention being away from family. Now, if you happen to have problems with your family, like if you have narcissistic parents who make your life a living hell and you've gone no contact with them because of that, that's one thing. Traveling like that might actually be an escape. But if you have a decent relationship with your family, if not a close knit one, it's a lot harder. See, the real reason that most people don't just move out to the boonies or something to save money is because they might have family in major metropolitan areas where they want to be close to them, and if they want to have kids and raise a family, they want to be around the parents so that they can be around their grandkids and have a support network nearby. Continuing, even though we are not in the same country as our family most of the year, we have found ways to show up differently now. We read stories over FaceTime, send postcards and little gifts from every country we visit, and post videos they love to watch. We virtually attended dance recitals and cheer competitions. Our oldest granddaughter even practices piano with me on video calls. And when we come home to visit, we soak in every second and it feels more meaningful. Distance hasn't weakened our bond. If anything, it's made it stronger. I'm a little mixed on that. Sure, I know my cousins in upstate New York. We correspond somewhat regularly, mostly through like Facebook Messenger and such. But we haven't really spent lots of time together, especially since we've all gotten older. Like 10 years ago, with this month, well, last month now, was the first time I met my cousin's boyfriend, who the next time I saw him was literally at the wedding where he became my cousin's husband. And then I saw him again at my other cousin's son's first birthday party. Yeah, we know each other somewhat well. We don't like message back and forth every single day or anything like that. But hey, we are family. Mostly we see my uncle more, the father of the two cousins in question, because he comes by the area every now and then. He and their mother got divorced, and I think that's why we didn't see them as much. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I suspect the divorce was probably a part of it. That's my best guess from an outside perspective. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think you get the idea. Distance, it can be a mixed bag. Like my grandparents on my mom's side, I know them pretty well because I saw them regularly until I was about 9 or 10, and they moved to Florida for the first time, and that's where they've resided ever since, and they've just come up for the births of my younger cousins, and then more recently for funerals of other relatives. I'll leave it at that for now. And getting back to the article, 2 years later, we've never felt more alive. Since we left, We've traveled over 120,000 miles across 15 countries. We've learned how little we need to feel fulfilled, how much joy there is in slowing down and saying yes to curiosity. We've also learned that adventure, reinvention, and dreams don't have an age limit. We have learned that there is no such things as one size fits all version of early retirement or full time travel. Everyone and every situation is different. But if you've ever felt that quiet nudge, the sense that life could look different, I hope our story shows you that it's possible. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to take the first step. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes you do just need to take that first step. You have to show a little agency and actually do the thing rather than keep on talking about it or thinking about it. Yes, some level of planning is necessary. Yes, you should do your research, but it might not be for everyone at the end of the day. Some people might like the staying in one place, especially if they did all their traveling when they were younger, which is probably for a better idea, in my opinion, because you're actually able to appreciate it a lot more. There's more that you're able to do, because again, you don't really know if when you hit retirement age, you'll actually be able to do the traveling that you want to do, whether it's because of inflation, like the video I did about not waiting until retirement to do that. And there's also the question of whether your body will be able to handle it. Like, for example, mid 20s, you should be able to, you'll have a much easier time with poorer sleeping accommodations compared to if you're 60 and you head out and do your thing. So, on that note, I think I'm going to leave it here for the video. You let me know in the comments down below whether this is something you would consider doing, whether 55 is a good age to do that, or if you think you should do that when you're younger and then build up a retirement fund to just stay in one place where you can have all your. Let me put it to you this way. Would you rather have the stories to tell when you're older from when you were younger of all the exciting things you did when you were more physically capable? Or would you rather do everything you can to make sure you're in good shape for it and hope that you're able to do everything without having to worry about inflation and such? You let me know in the comments. I'd really like to know. Though, what I really want to know from Shelly is how they maintain a mailing address. Anyway, you give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.